everybody, it's Grant, and today I am here with my very good friend and one of my best friends, Jonathan. And Jonathan turned $1,500 of an investment into nearly 20,000 bucks. We're going to talk about how he did that today, his future thoughts on what's going to happen with that investment, and what he's going to do. Ready?
All right. Yes, absolutely.
Sounds like a plan. So, Jonathan, my first question for all the viewers: who are you? What do you do for a living? Where do you work?
So my name's Jonathan Hood. I work with you at the car dealership. I've been selling cars there for almost 11 years this coming February. I enjoy it. I mean, not going anywhere. I love it.
Yeah, bought a vehicle from you literally kind of today. Kind of. I got it today. But yeah, he's my car salesman as well. Been a very good friend of mine for a very long time. And Jonathan, so that way they can kind of understand how relatable or unrelatable you are, how much do you make a year?
I mean, I make around 50 is what I made last year.
Yeah, so he's been selling cars for 11 years. Have you ever invested before?
No, this is the first time.
So Jonathan, my next question, and I'm a big believer of the thought process behind things. So why did you invest?
It was that period where things were going completely haywire in the stock market.
What year was this?
2020. It was kind of beginning like April, May 2020. Mm-hmm. I can't exactly remember. I believe it was April that I did this. Sure. Maybe it was May. But things were going bananas. COVID had just hit and everything was just kind of falling. And I remember you talking about Sasol. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Sasol, we've got it right up the road. One of the biggest plants in the area. And the stock just crumbled. And me and you kind of talked about it. You had explained that, you know, Sasol's not going anywhere. And that's kind of the day that I went home, just stuck $1,500 into E-Trade and just bought everything that I could buy with $1,500.
Jonathan, you just explained what Sasol is. SSL is the stock tag for this. How many shares do you have?
690?
I like it. Hey, you'll find out why, but he actually had to do the math on that to know how many he has, because there's a good point behind that coming up. So something else I know we can learn from is, what was your thought process on the amount of money, if you're willing to share, that you were going to invest?
I wanted it to be enough money to where it could come out of my account at the time. I didn't care what happened to it.
Good.
You know, I didn't want to. If I lost all of that money, of course I would be upset. You know, I don't want to lose $1,500. But I'm also was going to be fine if I lost $1,500. I didn't want to have to wake up the next day and be like, man, you know, if I put $5,000 in, all of a sudden things go bad and I need to pull $4,000 back out of it. It's the point of doing anything.
Sure. So you put enough money in that you felt was a good amount, and if it went to zero, you were prepared for that.
Absolutely.
It would still suck, but you were prepared for that.
Absolutely.
What were your expectations of your stock purchase?
My expectations, kind of boom or bust, to be perfectly honest with you. I know where Sasol was sitting before. I think it was like at $30 before this all happened. And at the time, it was like at $2. And it was either this company's going bankrupt or I'm going to make pretty decent money out of this. I didn't buy this in hopes of turning $1,500 into $3,000. That wasn't really the dream. I wouldn't have been upset if that happened, because money is money, but I didn't buy this in hopes of, you know, it just doubling or anything like that.
You were shooting for that old Dogecoin type of, like, for the fences.
I was swinging. I was swinging the bat. That's kind of why I went with the Sasol purchase.
He checked a lot of boxes with this stock purchase, but at the same time, it was a bit of a gamble, right?
Absolutely.
So, Jonathan, is picking one stock smart?
I mean, probably not.
Probably not.
It's probably not a great idea.
Should it be a time for me to give him a little lesson?
Sure.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to tell you in this example, and how I'm going to nitpick what he did, I asked him, do you want to diversify? And he was like, nah. So I don't want to bunt. I don't want a first base hit. I would like at least give me the second base or third, or get me a home run. And the cool news is you got a pretty good home run, but twist on that later in this video. But what happens is, if you diversify your portfolio and Sasol goes down, but you have other stocks to help bring it up, it tends to work out pretty good. Good news is Sasol was really down, and it's kind of like buying Carnival Cruise Line at $6. You know, unless they go bankrupt, it's got to get better, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I know the answer to this question, but how did you deal with the ups and downs of the stock market during 2020? All the this. How'd you deal with all that?
I didn't watch it at all. The only time I really found out how it was doing is when Grant or somebody else would walk in the room and go, "Hey, did you see how Sasol's doing?" And I'm like, "No, I did not see how Sasol's doing." And then I would find out. There were probably a couple opportunities in there where I would have sold had I paid more attention. I remember a bunch of people sold at $10. I don't know what happened, why $10, but a lot of people sold when it got to $10.
2 to 10 is 5 times your money,
Yeah.
so I can see it.
One of my big goals was I wasn't going to sell it for at least a year. Like,
Why?
you said you pay more taxes on it if you sell it before a year. So I was like, well, it's going to sit till later than that, you know?
Not that it's super hard to remember, but like, yeah, if you sell it within your first year, you got to pay short-term capital gains, which is basically income tax. And so I guess the good thought process here is that a lot of investors buy something like Dogecoin. They get in there, they get excited. It's a social media currency, and then they lose it, or they get their butt kicked and they sell, and therefore they solidify their loss, and they don't invest again, which is sad, because investing, compound interest, all that stuff is the greatest wealth building tool of your time, aside from getting lucky in a recession and buying a good property for nothing. This was my next question. What are you going to do if it goes back down to $2.18?
If it goes back down to $2.18, I mean, I'm not going to sell it.
$2.18 or below, between $2.18 and $1.
I mean, if it's at $1, I probably would put a little bit more into the stock.
So the answer is buy more.
Yeah,
I love it.
If it's $2, I mean, I don't know. If it gets down to $2.18, I might buy more as well. I would never sell it at a loss.
Good.
Because
He's in it for the long haul, folks.
why would I sell it at a loss?
I agree, especially when it's done so well. Do you know what your investment was worth around the time that we all sold, or around the time that we all sold? Because we sold at like $24 and $25. It went all the way up to $28.
I did the math at the time.
That makes me feel so much better than what I'm about to tell you. That's good. And what was it?
It was a number where I would have sold. I believe it was like right under $20,000 maybe.
That makes me feel so much better.
Yeah.
$19,580.
I would have sold instantaneously.
But at the same time, Sasol's a great company, and right now it's doing less than that. But at the same time, we'll have a video on the. All right, I'm not gonna say that part. But right now, it's not quite that high, but it's still doing way better than when you bought it. So regardless, I just want to make sure he knew before we got deeper in this video. And Jonathan, I know you can do basic math, but I wanted this number to be said. If you would have sold at that time, that was an $18,000+ profit.
It's a good profit. I had no thoughts of that. I just am leaving the stock alone, letting it do what it does. Maybe it'll go up to $30+ where it was at one point in time.
Okay.
I mean, right now I'm still sitting in the green, so.
So in the absolutely you are. So in the event it gets to $30, is that where you would sell?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you were paying attention to it.
If hit $30, if you walked in the building and said, "Hey, Sasol's at 30, I'm selling."
Basically, what I've gathered so far is you assess your risk tolerance. You understand that you're going to stress out a little bit, so you might as well not look at it. So you don't. But it's there. You know it's there. You got your stuff written down. You got your password so you don't forget it. Everything's right there. The hardest part was starting, setting up the E-Trade account, and figuring out, a little bit of thought process, how much money you're willing to risk, and at the same time, it wasn't everything you had to the point where you were going to freak out if you lost it. So it's good. You didn't completely YOLO. You would have diversified, but you understood the thought process behind that, so you went with the biggest growth you could get, which is okay. If you're willing to do it and you're a conscious adult, have at it. But there, of course, are better ways.
Sure.
But, I'm glad this worked out for you. And you bought at a time where everything was value. Everything was at a discount. You were literally in Dillard's and polos were going for $5. Why not buy 5? Because you're going to buy one for 80 later. So it made sense. So I like that. I got one last question for you. What if the recession kicks us in the teeth, drops everything down? You're making 30% less. That's a recession. You know how that goes, right? We're in sales. Sasol goes back down to $2, $5, somewhere where you feel it's a decent buy. right? Because that word changes. It doesn't have to be 50 cents, right? But it goes down there. Are you going to save more, to invest more? Are you going to sell some things in the house to buy a little bit more? Are you going to find another stock that might be also down that you like? Maybe if Cardinal goes down to $4 and it's possibly not going to go bankrupt. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and buckle down and do more?
First things first, I would first have to see how the recession is impacting me personally.
Fair enough.
If I'm not in a situation to put more, even if it's solid money, you know, just like if I don't have money in the casino and somebody tells me they know that's hitting red, I'm still don't have the money to put on red.
Sure.
I would make sure that I have the money available. And yes, if everything drops back down again, I would be way more apt to put more money into the next drop.
Even
than
though
I
you
was
haven't
on this
even
one.
sold this one yet.
Exactly correct.
Okay.
So one thing I kind of told myself before, just I guess to kind of make myself feel better about my bet, it's either going to be okay or none of it's going to matter anyway. Because if the recession stays long enough to where everything crumbles, then it doesn't matter anyway. So
Sure.
just throw the money in there. If it comes back up, I'll have a gain. If it doesn't come back up, then everybody's living off scraps anyway.
Dave Ramsey, beans and rice. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you being here on the channel. I think a ton of things came from that. And honestly, what I took from that too is like he's going to survive the recession. If he's got the money to invest, he's going to invest. He's definitely an avid investor. He wants to learn, wants to do more, wants to grow this. He will sell at 30, right? Which there we go. We got a number. I can't wait to look at what your stock's actually doing. And then I also can't wait to see if you ever sell and if it ever goes crazy and goes up. So cool. If it goes up, you're going to come back to the channel and share with us more?
Sure.
Sounds like a plan. I love this because it's just a great guy making a good investment, even though he picked one stock. But at the same time, that's what he wanted to do. That's the money he wanted to put in there. And he didn't want to make $3,000. He wanted to make more. And he didn't think that was going to be in the form of Dogecoin or crypto. So he went with it, and I like it. Good job. See you guys later.